Tether just rolled out a brand new stablecoin specifically targeting the US market. Meanwhile, the SEC versus Ripple legal showdown is heading into the final stretch. Markets feeling the heat today. We're down 4.6%. Bitcoin is still holding strong above 118,600. Ethereum sitting comfortably above 3,600. And XRP has climbed into the number 3 spot, currently priced at 3.16 on the 24-hour. We're seeing a drop of 3.1% and down 3.3% over the last week. The price action we've seen is fluctuating between $2.99 and $3.32. Honestly, I did buy the dip. Didn't catch that $2.99 mark though, which kinda ticks me off. But hey, that's just how the game goes. Still happy I got in when I did. It wasn't a massive buy, but I did it more as a matter of sticking to my principles and staying sharp. It's all about that consistent discipline, right? Sometimes you just gotta walk yourself through the motions and stay in that mindset. So yeah, glad I followed through. Now, before we dive deeper into today's breakdown, I want to put you on to something that's been a game changer for me. Caleb and Brown Crypto Brokerage. This platform is seriously impressive. Look, I know many of you are already spread across various exchanges, but take a minute to check this out. Just hit the link below the video or head over to xrpwealth589.com. And I partnered up to give you access to open a free account so you can see firsthand what this platform brings to the table. They've got a huge selection of assets, no hidden fees, no spreads. You get institutional grade custody totally free, plus a flat rate fee model and real human customer support. Yeah, you can actually talk to someone if you hit a snag. Whether it's a technical hiccup or setting up your market orders properly, they've got you covered with professional brokers. They also offer multiple layers of security, and you can even customize your account with special restrictions if you want. And let's be real, with the market gearing up for what could be its most explosive rally yet, security and protection are the new flex in my world. I'm all in with them, and you know how selective I am with the platforms I use. Each one brings its own flavor and utility. But Caleb and Brown just checks all the right boxes for me, and probably will for you too. So again, go check it out at xrpwealth589.com. I think you're gonna be impressed. President Trump recently made a bold statement calling crypto potentially the biggest shakeup in finance since the invention of the internet. Let that sink in. This could truly be the most groundbreaking leap in financial tech we've seen in decades. And honestly, a lot of voices out there are echoing the same sentiment. But I want to know what you think. Is this the next great revolution? If you're nodding yes, then count me in too. I'm right there with you. It's incredible to witness how far we've come. Just look around. The level of adoption, the momentum, the sheer embrace of digital assets, it's unreal. And here's the kicker. We're only 7 months away from the next US election, and look at the trajectory we're on. The US is sprinting toward a digital future, and that includes a massive transformation of the entire financial system. And now, the countdown begins. Just 6 days to go, folks. That's right. According to B.O. Hines, the President's Working Group is set to drop its highly anticipated 180-day report on July 30th. I honestly can't wait to see what's in that report. Now, let's talk about the one and only Mike Novogratz, CEO of Galaxy Digital, who just tossed out a bold prediction. Bitcoin hitting $150,000. Yup, you heard that right. He says we're entering a price discovery phase with many of these assets, and when he starts sketching lines on his charts, $130K to $150,000 feels like a very realistic target. Of course, it hasn't been all green candles. We've seen some selling pressure pop up here and there, which has definitely put the brakes on the momentum a bit. But still, the overall vibe? It's pushing upward as long as the macro narrative stays intact. Now here's where things could get interesting. If Trump shifts gears and says, hey, we've done such a great job that the economy no longer needs rate cuts, well, that could flip the entire script. And not just Novogratz's. That would shake up everyone's outlook. But come on, let's be real. He's not looking to keep rates high. He's got to roll over a massive chunk of short-term debt from the last administration. If that gets refinanced at higher rates, the government ends up shelling out way more interest back to the Fed. So yeah, let's pump the brakes a bit on that idea, Mike. Whoa, still, exciting times ahead. Maybe part of that $150,000 Bitcoin target we're talking about has something to do with Jack Dorsey and Square stepping up. They've just rolled out support for merchants to accept Bitcoin payments. Big move. Gotta give Jack some credit here. He's clearly trying to inject a little real-world use into Bitcoin. Now, do I personally consider this full-blown utility? Not quite. But hey, it's a start. At least now there's a path for actually using Bitcoin instead of just hoarding it. Progress is progress. And here's a real-world example in action. Square has officially activated Bitcoin payment functionality across devices used by over 4 million businesses and sellers. That's no small rollout. Personally, I think this is a pretty big deal. And I love seeing it. I want Bitcoin to find actual, practical use. It needs to evolve beyond just being labeled digital gold that we all stash away, because there's only 21 million of them. That mindset alone isn't sustainable long-term. It's fragile. So seeing moves like this, it's a step in the right direction. It brings some real-world utility to Bitcoin. And honestly, that's what it needs to keep growing. Good for them. This is big. KeyBank, a $185 billion institution, is now allowing 3.5 million clients to buy and hold Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. That's a major move. And let me tell you, you're gonna like what this guy had to say. He's clearly tuned in. He sees where things are headed and he's not running away. He's charging straight toward the future. When asked about crypto and stable coins and whether they see it playing a role for their clients, he didn't hesitate. He admitted it's still early, but believes there's serious potential, especially in the stablecoin space. And he's right. He broke it down into a few areas. First, there's the institutional angle, the prime brokerage stuff. That'll be dominated by a small group of massive international banks. High volume, tight margins. Not really KeyBank's game. Second, he touched on crypto as a store of value. If clients want to hold it in their wallets, Key will support that. They're ready to give their customers access to it. No hesitation. Then there's the big question. Will stablecoins eat into bank deposits? He called it a valid concern. Even a real threat, but not an immediate one. And he believes the banking industry will adapt. We might not see KeyBank issue their own coin anytime soon, but he could definitely see them joining a consortium of banks that does. But here's where it got really good. He highlighted two of the strongest use cases: international payments. Right now, cross-border payments are painfully slow and loaded with friction, thanks to outdated correspondent banking systems. Stablecoins could streamline all of that. Faster, cheaper, better for clients. And tell me that doesn't sound familiar? Yeah, I'll just let that hang right there. We're talking about the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act. And honestly, it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. What we really need is for all these major crypto-related bills to move beyond discussion and actually make it into law. It's not enough to keep hearing about proposed legislation being tossed around in Congress. That's not going to get the job done. These bills need to go the full distance, debated, passed through both chambers, and signed into law. Without that kind of concrete legal framework, the crypto market simply won't reach the full potential we all know is possible. We need regulatory certainty, plain and simple. And just in some major news from Tether. They've launched Tether Ventures, a brand new investment arm focused on backing companies driving innovation in decentralization, payments, AI, energy, and more. Sounds like they're stepping into the venture capital space with a mission. Building a portfolio that supports the next wave of Web3 infrastructure. And here's the reality. Tether is going to have to roll out a new stablecoin specifically for the US market to meet compliance standards, whether they want to admit it outright or not. He kind of dances around it, but let's not sugarcoat it. That's the hard truth. Now, one big point being made here is that this shift could actually increase demand for US treasuries. And you know what? That tracks. I've always said this. The US dollar is arguably the best product America has ever produced. Think about people living in emerging economies where inflation is through the roof. We're talking 50% annually in some places. Meanwhile, we're over here complaining about 3% or 4%. In many parts of the world, local currencies are collapsing in value compared to the dollar. And naturally, people are scrambling to get access to something more stable. They want dollars. That's exactly what USDT, Tether, gives them. A digital dollar alternative. It's not just about speculation. It's real-world demand from millions of families who need a reliable store of value. And that demand drives something else. A massive appetite for used treasuries. Treasuries that countries like China and Japan have been unloading lately. Guess who stepped in? Tether was one of the top 5 buyers of U.S. treasuries in 2024. That's huge, but there's more. The Genius Act recently passed places some strict new requirements on foreign stablecoin issuers. Anti-money laundering compliance, rigorous audits, and a 3-year window to meet these standards. Paolo from Tether says they're ready to meet the challenge. They've already got deep relationships with major U.S. agencies. The Secret Service, DOJ, FBI, OFAC, Treasury, you name it. They claim they're the most AML-compliant stablecoin in the market, with over 250 law enforcement partnerships in 50-plus countries. But here's the real bombshell. Tether has confirmed they're developing a US-specific stablecoin, one designed specifically to comply with domestic regulations and compete in the American market. And apparently, an announcement is just around the corner. So, let me just go ahead and translate all of that. Yes, they're creating a new stablecoin because the current one isn't compliant with new US laws. That's the reality. They can call their existing token the most compliant all day long. But if they're building a whole new product to meet US rules, that says everything. Let's talk facts. Real USD has officially been ranked the #1 stablecoin, earning an A rating from Blue Chip, an independent ratings agency focused solely on stablecoins. And guess what rating Tether received from them? A Delta D. Yeah, not exactly confidence-inspiring. So just bringing it full circle here. This isn't opinion. This is from a third-party evaluator. It reinforces everything we've been saying. Tether isn't currently compliant with US standards, and they know it. That's why they're creating a brand new stablecoin to operate legally within the United States. No surprises here. We've been reading the signs correctly all along. Still, I'll give credit where it's due. I'm glad they'll have the opportunity to launch a US-compliant version. But make no mistake, this move confirms the reality. The current version of Tether can't cut it under new US regulations. Launching a new product is the only path forward for them. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. All stablecoins, not just Tether's new version, will need to be ISO 20022 compliant. That's the global messaging standard being adopted by the SWIFT network to modernize cross-border payments. We're talking faster speeds, improved data transparency, better compliance tools, and enhanced fraud prevention. The new system will require all compliant stablecoins and CBDCs to use specific ISO 20022 payment codes, which will integrate seamlessly with legacy financial infrastructure. That's the direction everything is headed, and it's clear that only fully compliant digital assets will survive in the next phase of global finance. Now let's bring it back to market performance. Even in a downtrend, XRP is outperforming Bitcoin. The data is right there. And this isn't just some pump moment. It's being noted across multiple sources. There's a growing sense that XRP offers the best value proposition right now, especially for investors priced out of Bitcoin and Ethereum. As Dom from EZA pointed out, the top two cryptos might be too expensive for new buyers looking to enter the market. They're already far beyond reach for many. But XRP still looks accessible, still shows upside, and more importantly, it's aligning with compliance, institutional use cases, and global standards. So at the end of the day, this is nothing but good news. XRP is positioned like never before, and it just keeps getting better. Let's talk about something big, coming out of Germany specifically, the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Shout out to Oliver and the incredible work he's doing over there. Now, Oliver speaks in German, so I'll walk you through what he said, because what's happening there is a stark contrast to what we see in the US markets. The German exchange is actually being transparent about where they expect XRP's price to go in the short-term days or possibly weeks. Let me break it down for you. According to Oliver, there's a forecast of a 100% increase for Bitcoin and a 25% move elsewhere. But when it comes to XRP, he sees the potential for a massive 200% surge from where it's currently sitting. That would push it to around $8, $9, even $10. He explains that while the recent drop in market cap caused a dip, the upside potential from here is much larger. XRP currently boasts a market cap above $200 billion. And when comparing that to Ethereum, if XRP continues its momentum, a flippening could be just a matter of time. When you study the monthly chart, it's clear that the current price action mirrors past consolidation periods, which were followed by explosive upward moves. Based on that pattern, another big leg up seems likely, targeting that $8 to $9 zone. And this isn't just based on speculation. Ripple is actively aligning itself with major developments. For instance, Ripple has now applied for a U.S. banking license, which shows the company's ambition to go beyond just cross-border payments. It wants to become a full-scale financial infrastructure provider. Plus, Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, is gaining traction, especially under the new Genius Act framework. To top it off, the XRP ledger has already undergone testing within the European Central Bank's Digital Euro initiative. So yes, adoption is clearly underway. If this upward structure continues, we could see XRP rocket like it has in past cycles. Oliver strongly believes in this 200% move and even suggests we might see targets like $12, $15, or even $18. Not guaranteed, of course, but well within reach given the right conditions. However, he points out that a realistic Fibonacci retracement level would land us around $8 or $9, which still represents a massive gain, especially for those who got in at 30 cents or 40 cents. That kind of return speaks for itself. Massive credit again to Oliver and his team for the insight they're providing. It's clear that outside the US, markets aren't shy about recognizing XRP's potential. The lack of discussion in America, likely due to the strategic role the XRP ledger is expected to play in future payment systems, both nationally and globally. Once the legislation is signed into law in the US, I think we'll start hearing a lot more. But until then, we'll keep watching, waiting, and preparing. As always, not financial advice, just sharing what I'm seeing. I'll catch you in the next video.